Get this pressure pouring out of my head. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head. I feel it in work, you know I feel it in bed. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head. Paid all my bills and I'm acting so well. I'll be cheating, there's nothing to tell. While this pressure I don't understand. When all my neighbors, I lend them a hand. No doctor, I'm willing to learn. All of my bones, well, they toss and they turn. Mother, oh mother, I'm begging you please to rid me of madness and cure this disease.
Hey, what's up, sports fans, and welcome in to Talkin LA Sports with your host, myself, Chris Sylvester. It is a Tuesday night here, August the 13th, and I guess this is what they call the dog days of August. Football just about getting ready to kick off in college and the NFL, and baseball, we're starting to hit the stretch run. We're starting to see teams completely fall out of contention, like the Angels, and we're starting to see teams really put it together and make a strong finish at the stretch run, like the Dodgers. So that is what's going on in LA right now, and amongst baseball. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to have Jason Brennan from AM 830. He covers the Angels. We're going to be talking about them, the status of Mike Scioscia and Jerry DiPoto's jobs right now, or at the end of the season, because of what's going on right now. And also, we're going to talk about his stance on performance-enhancing drugs in Major League Baseball. Of course, Mike Trout spoke out today, young superstar on the Angels, and he said that he believes that people should have players rather, should have a lifetime ban if using PEDs. So that's what's going on right now, or that's what's going to be going on in the show. We're also going to be talking a little bit of Kobe Bryant and his statement today on his Achilles. So, meanwhile, back to baseball. The Angels lose, the Dodgers win. If I had $1 for every time I said that, I'd be a rather wealthy man, at least here in 2013. It's the Dodgers moving along. They won their game today 4-1 over the New York Mets. It was Matt Harvey against Hung-Shin Ryu. He moved to 12-3 in his rookie campaign. Him and Puig kind of battling it out for Rookie of the Year in the National League. And then, of course, Matt Harvey, one of the league's best young right-handers. He started the All-Star game for the National League. He took the loss tonight, and right now the Dodgers just have the combination going with pitching and the bats. The bats are working. It might not be the superstars. Adrian Gonzalez goes 0 for 3 tonight. Carl Crawford 0 for 2 tonight. Andre Ethier scratched from the lineup. But Nick Punto and A.J. Ellis coming up tonight clutch with the Dodgers 4 RBIs en route to their 6th consecutive victory. They are now 39-8 in their last 47 ball games. One of the best stretches in MLB history, and that is in part while they're starting to run away with the National League West. They're 7.5 games up on Arizona. Of course, Arizona still has an outside shot at the National League wild card, but it's almost safe to say at this point that even if the Dodgers do fall off a little bit and go on a little bit of a slump, which it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, but even if that does happen, there's probably not a chance that they're going to be caught in their division. So that's what this huge run has done for them, and they seem well on their way to a postseason berth. And once you get to the postseason, if they're rolling in hot like this, you never know. So That's what's going on in LA with the Dodgers. They have won the first two series, the first two games of a 4-game series with the New York Mets, and they win again tonight 4-1. They beat Matt Harvey. So that is very, very good news for the Dodgers. On the other side, Angels lose again out in New York. That's also a 4-game series. They lose to the Yankees 14-7 in a game that involved a rain delay back in the 7th inning. It was Jason Vargas coming off of the disabled list with the blood clot issue that he has been having. He had that removed, and he hasn't pitched since June, I don't believe. Made the start tonight. Didn't do too bad, but left a couple of balls up, and you can't do that in Yankee Stadium. Only lasted 4 1/3. Gave up 4 earned runs, 2 home runs that might not have been home runs anywhere else. And then the bullpen came in and let it explode for the New York Yankees. Joe Blanton in 2 innings pitched gave up 6 runs. And that is why he is no longer in the starting rotation. On the other side, the Angels lost to CC Sabathia, who hasn't been having a CC Sabathia-esque season so far. He moved to 10-10 on the season with the win, just at 500. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 walks, and 7 strikeouts. He did give up a home run back to Mark Trumbo in the first inning. His ERA is 4.66, but the Angels still really not able to do anything against him despite the multiple opportunities. You know, it just seems like this team has a frustrating way to lose every single game. Back on Sunday, they blew a 5-0 lead. Last night, they had bases loaded, down by 1 with 1 out in the 9th inning, and struck out David Robertson, struck out Mark Trumbo and Chris Nelson back-to-back to end the game. Nelson's would have for sure been ball 4. He chased the pitch up in the zone. And then tonight, it was a 4-3 game in the 6th inning. There was a sacrifice fly by Tommy Field to left field. It looked like Chris Nelson tagged on the replay. It proved that he tagged up, but the home plate umpire, for whatever reason, making that call back at third, saying that he did leave early. And he was called out. Mike Scioscia came out, spoke his piece, and that kind of killed it all right there. And that's just kind of been the epitome of the Angels season, these last 3 losses. So close yet so far, and they dropped to a season worst 53-65, 12 games under 500, 10 games under 500 on the road. So the Angels lose and the Dodgers win. Not so surprising anymore, especially here in 2013. You know, you thought these teams would both be contenders. You thought there was a real possibility this year at finally seeing an all-Freeway World Series, but that's not going to happen. The Angels will be lucky to finish over 500 at this point, and it just isn't good news out in Anaheim. And that's what we're going to be talking about with Jason Brennan from AM 830. He checks in next to Talkin LA Sports with Chris Sylvester. We're going to talk about the job security of Mike Scioscia and Jerry Dipoto, along with some other things, what the Angels might do in the offseason as well. So we'll be right back here on Talkin LA Sports with Chris Sylvester here on Spreaker.com, an affiliate of National Sports. Stay with us.
Shaq would just give you the bow and the big butt just to beat you out. Let's be honest. He even said on TNT, he put the bow in the mouth, and then he put his big posterior on somebody and slam it through and give Rick Smith's concussion. Unbelievable.
Live from the National Sports radio station on Spreaker.com, you are listening to NBA insiders Cameron and Jordan on In the Paint. It all starts right now. In the Paint.
I'm just trying to think of really good centers right now. Oh, you know what? Where does Nene fit? Top 15?
Broken down Nene. Yeah,
I don't like it when people say, "Oh, he's dumb."
He makes a lot of dumb plays.
Okay, but you know what? Dennis Rodman made a lot of dumb plays. And same with Charles Oakley, and same with Charles Barkley, and same with Tom Gugliotta, and same with Shaquille O'Neal. O'Neal didn't even want to run the triangle, and he's like, "I don't give a care, Phil. Let me just give it to me in the post, 28-15." That's all he said.
Wow, I can't
Okay, what do you think Shaq's IQ at the game of basketball?
I don't think it's really high.
Yeah, I don't think so either. No, Shaq would just give you the bow and the big butt just to beat you out. Let's be honest. He even said on TNT, he put the bow in the mouth and then he put his big posterior on somebody and slam it through and give Rick Smith's concussion. Unbelievable.
Live from the national sports radio station on Spreaker.com, you are listening to NBA insiders Cameron and Jordan on In the Paint. It all starts right now.
First verse, I'm armed till I'm on the island. My life's riding on an autobahn, on autopilot. Before I touch dirt or kill y'all with kindness, I kill you. My natural persona is much worse.
Weeks makes it more difficult, but really this is all about a team that just hasn't met expectations across the board. And you talk to Mike Sosha, he'd tell you it has nothing to do with anything anyone else is doing. They're just not getting the job done.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. I mean, you look at years past, and if the Angels have ever had problems winning games, and they've been one of, I mean, no, they haven't made the postseason since 2009, but they've been one of the top teams in Major League Baseball, especially the American League, in the past 10 years or so. But a lot of people are saying, and I have to agree here, that this isn't really a Mike Sosha type team. I think it's safe to say at this point the Angels are out of contention. I mean, there's always a chance, but I mean, they don't look convincing. Like they're gonna just all of a sudden go on this Dodgers type run that would be needed to get back into contention before it's all said and done. Assuming the Angels don't make the playoffs, assuming they don't finish above 500, how do you like the chances of Jerry Dipoto and Mike Sosha retaining their jobs come next season?
I think they will, and I agree with you. There's no chance this team is going anywhere this year. I think you're looking at, hoping that you see Garrett Richards, who pitched pretty well last night. Some guys like that step up into some roles. I want to see what you do with the bullpen with Michael Kahn and Dan De La Rosa and some of the young arms that they have. If they can do something with those and slot some guys into positions for 2014. I think when you look at what the Dodgers did this year, and that's more of a Mike Sosha team, you have, not a lot of stars outside Puig, and Matt Kemp, who should be your star, was not a star this year. A lot of guys that have played very well. There's some big names, no doubt, but there's a lot of guys that have stepped up, but it's really based on their starting pitching. And if you want to compare the two, you have Kershaw, Greinke, and Ryu going in the top three. The Angels, without Jared Weaver for 7 weeks, you're looking at C.J. Wilson, who's had a pretty good year, and not much else. So the Joe Blanton experiment has been awful. Tommy Henson hasn't done much of anything. Jason Vargas has been hurt, on and on. It's just, this was a poorly constructed pitching staff. I think Jerry Dipoto, it's too early to hold him completely accountable. I think that some of the work that Tony Reagan's did in the last several years, trading away some young arms like Corbin and Skaggs to Arizona for a Renta player and Dan Herron and not make the playoff. I think it falls there. I do think there needs to be a change in the coaching staff at some point. I don't know that it's Mike Sosha, and Artie Maito's a big fan of his, but I do think there needs to be a new voice somewhere down there. because right now you can't expect it all to be on the players. At some point, the message has to change at least a little bit.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Of course, the Angels last year fired Mickey Hatcher, I believe, in the middle of April or May, not too far into the season last year, and then the Angels started really rolling with the bats after that. I mean, when you talk about having to let a coach go that's not Mike Scioscia, the first name that comes to mind is Mike Butcher. I mean, obviously you can't put it all on him, but I mean, sometimes you just gotta light a fire. You just gotta light a spark, and that might cost Mike Butcher his job. I mean, like you said, it's not, and I agree with you. I mean, the pitching staff was poorly put together. I mean, behind Jared Weaver and C.J. Wilson, there was a bunch of question marks. I mean, Jason Vargas has been decent. I mean, he's been pretty good. I mean, I'd like to see the Angels bring him back, but like you said, Joe Blanton's been god-awful. 2 innings, 6 earned tonight out of the bullpen. His ERA is 5.86. His record is ridiculous. And then Jerome Williams just hasn't been the same pitcher. He's leaving that sinker up in the zone. He's getting hammered. Tommy Hansen was just sent down to AAA yesterday. I mean, do you expect the Angels really to just focus on pitching this offseason and not mess around with, going after these big signings like the last 2 and Josh Hamilton and Albert Pujols?
Well, you mentioned it doesn't feel like a Mike Scioscia team, and I think that there are a lot of people that would agree with you with that statement. It's not a good base running team. It's not a good defensive team, especially out of the catching position, which has been pretty poor defensively, whether it was Chris Arnett or Hank Conger all year. I don't know that Mike Scioscia is going to be okay with that going into 2014. I think you have to see some changes offensively just to get a little bit more, a little bit more speed, a little bit more average. I don't think anybody would have expected Albert Pujols to be crippled with the injuries that he had this year. Josh Hamilton's been a big disappointment so far, and you got guys in the middle of the order who are feast or famine type guys. Mark Trumbo had a home run tonight, but I mean, we've seen prolonged slumps out of him. Outside of Mike Trout has been just amazing again this year. There's a lot on that offensive side that I think could get turned over. Now, all that being said, I don't think there's a reason they couldn't win the AL West next year. I think that they're going to have to go out and make a move. I'd love to see them get David Price because Tampa has kind of come out and said, look, they're not going to be able to retain him after 2014. Maybe you make a move or you package some people. I think you got to say Trumbo, Borges, Kendrick, Ibar, one of those guys gets dealt because you can't deal Josh Hamilton. You can't deal Albert Pujols. You can't deal Mike Trout, obviously. So some of the rest of those guys, I don't know that I would take up long-term residence in Orange County because somebody has to get moved to get pitching and to get more speed and to improve his team defensively because it's been pretty poor in all facets this year.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I mean, although Peter Borges has been injured the majority of the season, I mean, he was hitting over 300, and it looked like he was on his way to finally his first good year at the plate. We already know what he can do defensively, but I agree with you 100% right there, and I completely forgot about David Price most likely being on the market this offseason. I got to agree with you. The Angels got to make a run at this guy because, I mean, I think in the short amount of time we've seen them play, I think J.B. Shuck and Cole Calhoun will solidify that left field or right field position, wherever you want to stick, because Josh Hamilton and Mike Trout are still going to be here the next 4 years. And with Shuck and Cole Calhoun not really having that much trade value as compared to a guy like Borges, why not trade Peter Borges to go get a frontline starter? But outside of Peter Borges, I mean, who else are you going to package together? I mean, the Angels don't really have that many arms left in the minor league system. I mean, they gave up a couple last year in the Greinke trade. They gave up Alex Torres, who's tearing it up with the Tampa Bay Rays. Unfortunately, it hurts to say that, for Scott Kazmir a few years back, and of course Gene Segura, Patrick Corbin, Tyler Skaggs. Gene Segura and Patrick Corbin both all-stars this year, so that hurts a little bit too. Who else maybe in the minor league system who we haven't heard of would be involved in one of those deals with a guy like Borges or Trumbo?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a minor league guy. When you look at Baseball America rated the minor league system one of the worst or the worst in baseball, I don't know that you're going to get somebody that, unless you find like a guy in A-ball or Double-A that has some high upside. I don't know who that is. I almost think you're going to have to move a guy like Garrett Richards and a major league ready arm which there's some addition by subtraction there. You'd like to see Richard with the Major League club next year, but you don't get an option for a guy like David Price too often if you're going to compete in the West the way Texas and Oakland has played. I think you need to go out and get a East-type pitcher because as good as Jared Weaver has been the last few years, he's still a guy whose velocity is dipping. There was some concerns about him this year. He's looked great since he's come back from injury, as he's gotten back into things. But I think you kind of need to look at what your next chapter is for starting pitching. And I think you have to go out and move some guys. But I just don't know that the farm system has that player right now.
Real quickly here before we let you go, I got to ask you, obviously pitching, whether it's the bullpen or the starting pitchers this year, both have been a huge problem. Ernesto Frieri, everyone's figured out that all he does is throw a fastball. Do you see the Angels obviously they got to go get starting pitching in the offseason. Do you see them trying to acquire a closer as well, or do you think they're going to stay in-house and see if Dane De La Rosa can do the job the rest of this year and see maybe if he does do a great job in that role at the end at the back of the bullpen this year, maybe they give him a shot come opening day next year? Or do you think the Angels go out and get a more experienced closer, but one healthy, not like Ryan Madson, who didn't pitch all but one inning in a minor league game this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have to stay in-house on that. I think with the amount of pitching that they're going to need to go out and get, and you saw a couple of years ago they go out and get Fernando Rodney in a setup role, and he's been great the years before, and he's been great the years after being in Anaheim. I think that they're burned a little bit on those sort of guys, and I think you're going to see Jerry Dipoto go out and try to find an Ernesto Frieri type bargain out there, or you're going to see him do something in-house. Ryan Madson was a colossal waste of time this year, but he's done that 2 years in a row. I don't see that happening again. I think they got to do something, but I think it all comes back to Mike Scioscia talks about the pyramid to the bullpen all the time, the pyramid to his closer, having a good seventh inning guy, having a good eighth inning guy. Problem there is you're not getting to the seventh inning frequently enough with your starting pitching, and you're pitching guys out of spots and not allowing them an opportunity to succeed. Hopefully the starting pitching can do that, and then bullpen pieces are all kind of flawed to begin with. I think they're just going to have to try to develop some.
It's times like these where you miss the deadly combination of Scott Shields and Francisco Rodriguez, 8 and 9, in the Angels bullpen. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that here on August the 13th we're already looking forward to what we're going to do in the offseason. But I mean, it's not something as an Angel fan or just someone who follows the Angels you're used to talking about the offseason this early. But the sad reality of it is that this team's out of contention, and they're not gonna have that Dodger type of spark. At least it doesn't look like where they're gonna do anything.
Not this year. And Chris, I think you're gonna see Mike Scioscia's gonna have to do some things he's never done before, which is play the young guys, try to build towards next year. It should be interesting to see what happens in late August and September. And I'm with you. I hope we see a lot of Cole Calhoun. I hope we see a lot of J.B. Shuck, and we see what we have there, because there's some exciting young players on the team besides Mike Trout. But we got to see him on the field.
Yeah, certainly a lot of question marks, and I'm sure a lot more we'll know a lot more before the off season hits. Jason Brennan from AM 830. Jason, thank you so much for taking some time tonight to come on the show.
No, thanks for having me. Talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank you. All right, that was Jason Brennan of AM 830. Second straight guest here on our show, so pretty good. I like it. Jason, great insight. I mean, he's worked for the Angels for a number of years. I remember listening to the Jeff Biggs show back on AM 830, and he was the kind of like the producer or whatever. But yeah, no, that's Jason Brennan giving his Angels insight for you. Sorry, the first part of the interview was cut off because of a couple technical difficulties here, but that's Spreaker.com for you. That's Spreaker.com for you. Spreaker.com. Technical difficulties everywhere. That's it, man. That's it. When we come back, we'll quickly discuss Kobe Bryant, and we will wrap up the show. You're listening to Talkin LA Sports with Chris Sylvester. It's a week edition. We'll be back.
1, 2, 1, 2. This the I'm a Boss remix. Meek Millie. Let's go. I'm ride or dies and ride riding by Holloway side, right inside of my Beamer 760i. Try me let off 60 shots again. We got the city hiding, popping like it's supposed to be. Do not menage and got no business standing close to me. So polar ferocious G. Things ain't a dope in me. Mind your business, watch your mouth when you approaching me. Socially, I like them, I don't love them, no. Cold heart emotionally. Hit me where the ocean is. Ride in the ghost again.
Alright guys, welcome back into the show. My name is Chris Sylvester, your host. Real quickly before we wrap up the show, Kobe Bryant said today in the Philippines that his Achilles tendon is healing well. He said, quote, "My tendon feels really, really good. I was really lucky." And he also said, "The trainers go everywhere with me. Family vacations, business trip, they're here all the time," unquote. So, Kobe Bryant, it's really looking like he's going to be ready for the opening game of the season. That'll certainly be interesting, but, you know, I don't have my doubts about this guy, and I think that he's going to be playing in the league a couple years longer. Do I think he's going to be the same? No, just because I think he's going to need more time to rest on the bench, but when it comes to the fourth quarter, I think Kobe Bryant's going to be the same exact player as he's always been. Hey, short show for you here today. Don't know if you guys can tell, but my voice is a little bit, vocal cords a little bit strained. I was on a couple of other shows earlier today. I was out there screaming and whatnot, kind of Petros Papadakis-esque, I guess, if you want to call it that. Apologize, not really my best show, right? I think we can all agree on that, but big ups to Jason Brennan for checking in today, and we'll make sure that, you know, the next show is going to be a heck of a show. Don't worry. Alright, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight to Talkin LA Sports with Chris Sylvester. My name is Chris Sylvester, and I'm out.
Chains where my neck's at. Hopping in the ghost, I feel I'm best at. Worth 40 M's, so respect that. I put all my jewels on just up on your chick. You know the boss well known for leaving bonuses.